Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Above the Bar podcast, where each week we belly up to the bar with a new guest, find out what they do, who they are, and what makes them great. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. Alrighty, folks, welcome back to the Above the Bar podcast. It's your host, Sean. Today we belly up to the bar with a friend, a confidant, a mentor, we could even say, a brother in arms, tattooed arms, a little bit of everything. And today we're joined by a good, like I said, a good buddy of mine, Brain Merrell of Tattooed in Business. We're gonna be talking about these things, but he's coming to us all the way from the wilds of Binghamton, New York. Look at that! You didn't know you would get cheers.
I didn't. I had no clue that anyone even knew where Binghamton was.
Yeah, no one does. What's up, C22 Eagle? I checked him. So do you know what Twitch is, Brian?
I'm just starting to learn a little bit about it.
Like it's worth it to figure it out. And that's something we can talk about. You know, everybody wants to monetize their stuff. Like they all think they're going to be, and that's a big thing we're going to get into with podcasting. If you want to be a podcaster and you want to monetize, this isn't the business for you. This is nothing. You don't want to be here. Hopefully, folks, if you're sending me messages today on the show, I'll get to see them. I think I fixed our problem that I was having last week that I couldn't see when people were sending me messages through Facebook. So I've got my Facebook up, my personal up on my phone, so I can double check to make sure what's happening. But hopefully we're good here and we don't have any more of those kind of issues. But yeah, we'll talk about Twitch. Twitch is an interesting animal to me because we're way too old for it. But at the same time, it's good for us. Keeps us young, keeps us youthful. But we're going to be talking today with Brian about absolutely C22. He tuned into his stream yesterday, checked him out. He was playing one of. Did you ever play Skater? It wasn't Skater Die. Tony Hawk Skater. Were you ever into video games, Brian?
I was until I got divorced, and when my son and I moved, he informed me that I was no longer allowed to play video games. So I haven't played video games in 7 years now. So yeah, he took away my privilege, I guess.
Your son took away your privilege to play video games?
Away my privilege.
That's too funny.
Yeah, unless we go to like a Dave and Buster's or something.
Oh, he's playing a combo, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2. I used to love the Tony Hawk games.
We used to play that. Yeah, we used to play that on the Wii.
Tony Hawk was one of those great games because you knew you were going to do moves that there was no you had no business on being able to do in Tony Hawk. Like, let me grind a telephone pole while like doing 50 flips and then land it and then come back. Just ridiculousness. But so we're going to get ready to get into this. As always, folks, one of the most important things that we have going on here on the show is Sticker and a Cause. If you got a cause out there, you got something that you believe in, something that you're supporting, whether it be another podcast, whether it be a local charity, whatever it is that you're into, you reach out to me. You can catch me on our Facebook, The Above the Bar Podcast, our Instagram, The Above the Bar Podcast. Our email is theabovethebarpodcast@gmail.com. You can catch us on Twitter, which is the only one that's goofy, which is @AboveTheBar4. For some reason, they wouldn't let me have the Above the Bar podcast. It was too long for Twitter. Oh God! If you see my light moving, that's because my jackass cat is moving my light. Like my light's on the ground, and all of a sudden, I'm watching it slide across here because my cat's a jerk. But today we have a sticker from Crazy Aunt Rose. If you can see that, if those of you that are watching us, for those of you that aren't, it's a beautiful. Sailor, what's it? I almost said Sailor Moon. What's the style of tattoo, Sailor Jerry?
It's Americana.
Okay, there you go. Style Rose, and it says Crazy Aunt Rose on it. Crazy Aunt Rose is Crazy Aunt Rose is actually the mother of one of our guests a couple of weeks ago, Clay, the drummer, and she has this little alien guy. Do you remember the Intel spaceman from years ago?
It's been a while. I don't think I don't. I know off the top of my head. The Intel
You'd see it and you'd be like, oh, like the Intel computer chips.
Oh my god! Yeah.
They used to have the spaceman.
Yes.
So she's actually got one of those spaceman dolls, and she takes it around and takes pictures in different places with it. So it's like so cool. So she's actually got a Twitter for it and everything. We'll have to, I can't remember. One of you guys go look it up on my Twitter, or not my Twitter, but my Instagram. And we'll put it out there, and we'll support Crazy Aunt Rose and her awesome traveling man thing. I can't remember the name of it. I'm having such a brain fart. But nonetheless, so we got that. And then the other most important thing is if your media is feeling flabby, because all those muscle pictures were actually Brian, ladies. He took those pictures for me. He was like, you can't be using no bullshit with me. So he like took his shirt off and was like flexing all around. It's pretty wild. I mean, I've never, and yes, Cujo, my cat is a professional lighting person.
He's holding your boom mic.
I've actually got one cat does the lighting, the other cat does the boom mic for me. That is their jobs. But yeah, those were all Brian, ladies. That was him with his shirt off flexing. So if you need your media to have the same kind of flex and not a bunch of flab, reach out to Media by Dibs, your connection for all things media, from logos to marketing campaigns to flyers and more. I don't know why I can't breathe today. Making your ideas a reality. Mention the phrase belly up to the bar for 10% off your first order and for a free consultation. So all those things are done. It's now left to the army guy in the line.
They were very nicely done too. I mean, I really gotta say, so Dibs, great job on that.
Look at you, Dibs, out there making things happen. And he taught me how to do it too. And I'm like, no, like I'll do one and I'll be so proud of it. I'll be like, this thing's awesome. This shit badass. And then Dibs will be like, oh, it's cute. I'm like,
right, yeah.
Like, how you mean it's cute? He's like, it's cute. That's another thing before we get too far is let's talk about we have new t-shirts also, folks. Check out our TeePublic site. Go on teepublic.com, look up the Above the Bar podcast, and you will find all kinds of new shirts. We have our Samuel L. Jackson as one of the He-Man characters, and it says Grayskull, mother.
I gotta get it.
Got that one. My wife talked me into a couple of them. Did you see the Rainbow Bright?
No, I did not.
So my wife talked me into the one. It's Punky Brewster, Rainbow Bright, and and a Care Bear, and it says OG Rainbow Warriors, and then on the front of it, it's just the three of them. You're an '80s kid, Brian. I know you are.
I am.
And
dude, I just watched Netflix, the second part of He-Man, the remake.
Oh, isn't it amazing?
The first one I was pissed. The second one I was like, yeah, there we go.
Oh, it was so good. Yeah. That shit was so good.
Yeah, I wait for Thundercats.
Are they doing a Thundercats?
They tried to bring it back a couple of years ago. Well, I say couple, probably 10 years ago, but they tried to do Thundercats, and I know they did a remake and it didn't do so well.
What's up, Ruth? How are you? Oh God, if it says VOTFY, FYI, I think that it might be a real person. I don't know. I have to figure that out. I get those sometimes, and what they end up being is like dirty pictures. Like I don't know what this is.
Say, how come you're not clicking out?
Yeah, I can't click it. It won't make it work. Eagle, we can definitely talk about some new ink. My daughter does all my ink now. She does tattoos, so she does all mine for me.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, it's nothing like having somebody in house. But the other side to it is you're like, can you do it? Nah, I'm busy.
Yeah, I take my paying customers first, Dad.
Yeah, I pay for these tattoos. I wish it was like non-paying. Then I could at least justify it. It's like, no, I got to pay for this stuff. Yeah. But yeah, we've got that one. There's the leg day picture, which is all the some barbarians from 80s cartoons. If you go back and look at those guys, they all had pencil thin legs. So it says leg. How important is leg day? Did that one. We did the brown jug band one. You got to go look at that one, ladies. You can figure that one out. Um, it's great. I'm having fun with it now. And yes, you did, Debs. You told me earlier my art was cute. It may hurt my feelings. And so let's get into it. So let's start with this. So Brian has now he's on to his second podcast. He's baller. 2 different podcasts he can juggle. He's got what's the beer one is?
It's Beer Drop Club, and it's actually right now. It's only the only way you can hear it is listen to 100.5. The Drive has a website that you can go to because I have a deal with them, so they're the ones who air it.
Okay, so it's strictly on their platform.
It is. It is. It is for now. One of my real good friends. I used to work in radio, so one of my real good friends, Ray Scott. Him and I were talking about it, and they were looking for something different. So basically, made a deal with them so that way they can sell it. They sell all the advertising and anything like that with it, and then I produce some content for them, and then once he decides that they're done with it, then I'll launch it like a regular podcast would be.
Okay. So for now they own it. It's their show.
Yeah, we have an agreement.
Gotcha. That because I remember we talked about I was gonna introduce you to somebody and you're like, I can't. There's this whole I was like I don't know what that means.
Right. It was something like I was real nervous about doing podcasting, and and I thought it was a good way to test the waters, kind of get used to it, play around a little bit. And one of the biggest things I've had a hard time with is I wanted a regular co-host who is a brewer, and I really want that way a true expert because I'm a home brewer. So when somebody does it for a living, they're a little more knowledgeable, to say the least.
The game is a little different.
Yeah, so that was the goal. And then we got going with the one brewer, Jimmy. He works at Cortland Beer Company. And then he, for a while, had to step away from it for a little bit. So I was just doing solo content on it. So just spoke with Jimmy yesterday. So we should be back up and rolling some newer episodes.
Awesome.
We put together some good content. So now we'll be able, now he's got some downtime, not brewing so much beer, he could do some more shows with me.
Well, and as we're going to get into some of this and a lot of this, folks, for today's show, I've got kind of a theme rolling forward. We're going to have Brian today. We're going to be talking about podcasting, about owning a small business, seeing the tie-in together. Next week, another good friend of both of ours, Donnie's going to be on. Donnie has a very successful podcast. He is an entrepreneur. This is kind of our business theme coming up. Week after that is Kristen Smith. She's local here to the Albany area. She owns her own. She created what it's called the Ripple Effect Network. It's a networking group. Phenomenal. Have you ever talked to Kristen?
I have. She's sharp, man. Yeah, she's sharp.
She's a ninja.
She absolutely is.
And so Kristen's going to be coming on with this stuff. And then the last week is going to be a good buddy of mine. I was actually just talking to him today, who is as close to personally me knowing a serial entrepreneur, another Marine named Vinny Roman. Yes, they're all Marines. Yes, they're all different walks of life. We'll let Brian come in and hang out with the Marines. He's one Army guy. Always want somewhere. So I was going to join the Marine Corps. I was going to do it.
Other than I'm afraid of water. So.
Oh God! I'll tell you a funny story about that. Funny Marine Corps story. So I had a guy named Nimini in my book. Not that he's ever going to listen to this. It's but Nimini was on Ohio championship high school football team. My man was big as a refrigerator, just a monster. He hit that. He got on the diving board, and we had to jump in the water. He hit that water, and all you heard was I weighed 127 pounds. Oh my goodness! Look who snuck in here.
Oh my God!
Just was talking about you there, Sunshine.
They're freaking let anybody on the show.
They will let anyone. But he was freaking out, and I remember I was 127 pounds. I was like, ha ha, and he came out of that water and was like, I'll whoop your ass. And I was like, I'll get in the water. He's like, you got to get out at some point. So I shut my mouth at that point. And I was like, yeah, I don't want to get beat up here. Yep. CC22 is like, he weighed 197 pounds. Like you had me by 70.
Yeah.
So let's get into this a little bit more. I know we're going to make plenty of left turns into talking about our times in the service and other stuff. It's going to happen, but you're a small business owner.
Yeah.
I mean, call it what it is.
Yeah. I mean, I have a small percentage ownership in one business, and then I'm actually about to launch or do a relaunch of my GY6 promotions, which will be a straight e-commerce site. When I first, and it's funny, it's like we were just having a conversation beforehand. I'm like, everyone's got babies, right? And not everybody has a pretty baby. Sometimes you have an ugly baby and you just don't want to admit it. So I realized a few months ago that the GY6, not many people got it. So when I merged companies with somebody else, we changed the name. We changed the name. We'll relaunch that. So I get to go back to where I originally wanted to start GY6. So when I originally started GY6, I started out with like the logo and like the hat you're seeing. I have shirts and designs. So I wanted to be an e-commerce site with my own designs like Grunt Style and Nine Line and those guys. And that's where it really started. So what's nice is I'm going to go back to that with the GY6 brand. So my website's almost done. I'm launching 10 designs right off the get-go. So that side of it, I put kind of on the back burner for a little bit right now. So we close on this other business we just purchased. So yeah, so it's a lot of things to juggle at times. But it's, I tell some people, you're an entrepreneur, you're an entrepreneur. And there was a day that, yeah, there's a day that I had to wake up and say, okay, I got to take this step again, because I used to own a bar. So so I had a business. I got in business with my former partner, and did not go well. It was just, we parted ways. I'm the only person I think I've ever met that closed down a business that was profitable in its first year. But we wound up parting ways on it, and I learned so much from that experience. But I also was like, just like shell shocked. I mean, we were best friends. Then we got to not be friends anymore. And then, like, all the things that you warn everybody about, we did.
Oh yeah.
Of course, it was a bar, and we had all these rules. When we first opened, never drink at your own bar. Right. You're not going to do anything. That lasted probably 45 days. Next thing I know, him and I are drinking, doing shots every night and stuff, and drinking your profit and stuff, and all that fun, crazy things that leads to the end. So we were bikers that freaking got into a bar, which was not good.
Well, see, it's funny you talk about the bar piece, and I don't know if you see it. Dib says he's got an IGY tattoo on his wrist, but that's really not impressing to me, Dibs, when you realize that Tim Sokol actually has Above the Bar podcast tattooed on his wrist. When are you going to up your game? When are you going to up your game there?
See, I had a fan before you did it.
See, I mean, gosh, I didn't realize this, but it's funny when you talk about a bar. My father, I used to talk to him, and I was like, "Hey, I'd love to, we should open a bar together," because growing up as a kid, we owned a liquor store and a bar when I was a kid.
Oh, okay.
Out of Baltimore, and I was always like, we should do this, Dad. And the old man was like, "No." I'm like, "Why?" It seemed like such a great deal and all that. He said, and he actually said to me, he's like, every time we sit at the bar and the barmaid gives us a drink and puts a marker there, and we're like, well, I was like, yeah, we tip real good. He goes, yeah, that's called stealing. And I'm like, what? He's like, you think she's paying for that beer? Right. And it never dawned on me. He's like, so you guys are, you're constantly going to do this. Donnie, I will get an SCN tattoo, which is the network that we all belong to, Success Champions Network. That's how Brian and I met. That's how I met Donnie. I will get an SCN tattoo the day you get an Above the Bar podcast tattoo. And
I'm pushing for tramp stamps. I am pushing hard for tramp stamps.
If he gets a tramp stamp of the Above the Bar podcast, legit, real tattooed, I will do it.
I think, yeah, but let's face it. No offense there, Sean, but the SEM logo is a little cooler.
No,
Your face is your logo. So
I know, that's what
your
I'm saying.
face is going to be above Donnie's ass. Just
There you
keep that
go.
in mind.
There you go.
But you're going
Yeah.
to get a Spartan helmet above yours, which is pretty ironic for Marines to have a Spartan helmet.
Well,
Follow
kind
the helmet.
it's kind of a thing. And Dibs, and this is for you if you want to read that one. Dibs and I were just talking about this. He wants to get back into SEN.
Oh,
Uh,
definitely.
I told him. And then Donnie, I have an M on each butt cheek, so when I do cartwheels, it says "Wow, Mom."
Yeah.
So
Left ass cheek. Jesus. No, I like the tramp stamp better.
he's so hilarious. So in all this, so you start a bar. So
Mhm.
I guess probably one of my things, and this has got to come up a lot to people, is what is it? What was the gut check to say, yeah, I can run my own business, not work for somebody, not enter into something that's got an infrastructure that already exists, to really say to yourself, I'm gonna build my own infrastructure. I'm gonna build my own pieces to the puzzle, and what I say goes.
Well, that was the problem, honestly. So when I bought, when I bought the bar, or we signed the lease, I should say, uh, I was just just went back to work. So I went through a real nasty divorce, and during the divorce, I was in and out of court constantly. Where finally, and it's the first time it ever happened in my life, I wound up getting fired from my job selling construction equipment.
Oh
And
wow.
I had a nest egg that I'd saved, and then of course I had more money that came in, and I was sitting home and trying to figure out what I wanted to do, and I really knew I wasn't happy with what I was doing, but I was good at it. So I wound up signing a lease, and then I took another job selling construction equipment. So I worked full time day on the road from 6 a.m. in the morning to usually whenever you're done with the day, doing that. And then I'd walk into the bar, and this is where things really got bad. Is I closed every night
Uh,
because my partner, see, I was supposed to be a silent partner, and he didn't want to pay anybody to work. So we were going to do it. So, and then I realized that when I was coming at 5:30 and he was telling me he was opening at 11 a.m., he wasn't open until 3 o'clock. So the
mm,
2.5, 3 hours a day he was working. But I mean, that's beyond, that's all petty stuff. When you really, go down to it, it's about the money at the end of the day being successful. Um, it just, so I was working 110 hours a week, and I had all these warning signs before we opened. I just ignored. So I literally almost died. Probably I think 6 weeks before we opened our door. We thought I was really just we thought I was sick, like a stomach bug, something like that going on. Turns out I had a tumor on my liver. And
holy shit.
yeah, I started going septic, and I didn't even know it. I was at the doctor's office because my regional manager had rode with me and told me, you need to go to the hospital, something's not right. And he said, you're going septic, you need to go to the emergency room. And next thing you know, I have tubes sticking out my side and pump full of ice. They kept telling me, you have no idea how sick you really are. And then I had some jackass doctor come in at 5:30 in the morning and tell me I have cancer, which, if that's the scariest C word, I swear to God, you'll ever hear in your life. And so I made a decision to have them just cut it out of me. So I lost not quite half my liver in this tumor, which, by the way, FYI, if you ever have liver cancer, is the best form of cancer to have because your liver will regenerate.
Oh,
And
will it?
your liver will regenerate unless it's damaged to a certain point, and mine wasn't. Turns out, long story short, uh, you know, I never pushed my beliefs on anyone, but I had a spiritual healing, and the night before I went to surgery, and I found out the tumor was benign. So either the doctor misread the whole thing and was an asshole, or somebody decided that I wasn't. I always say this, heaven doesn't want me, and I still have a restraining order from the devil that prevents me from going down. So,
That's wild. Like,
yeah. So when we opened the bar, I was in back cooking. I literally had a drainage tube out of my side
making
from
gravy,
having the surgery. Oh yeah.
making
And
gravy.
I kept telling my partner, I'm like, I'm not supposed to be in here. He just did not care. did not care. You needed to be here, and not that, and I'm going to stay and help you through the night. I'm leaving. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it was like, and then of course, like I'd go 1 week and they're like, oh, I go back to checkups to doctors, like your liver levels are awesome.
Dude,
They're like
great.
perfect. And then like 3 weeks later, I come in like, dude, I don't know what happened. You're freaking like, are you are you having problems? Are you gonna go back in the hospital? It's like, no, I'm doing fucking a bottle of Jack every night. What do you think I'm doing? Like I went back to drinking.
Eh,
Yeah. So I did great for like 5 weeks, and then after 5 weeks, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna have a drink.
fuck it, the liver's growing back.
That's what I said. I'm like, geez, I'm like, it's regenerating. What the hell, man? It's fresh. I don't want
This
to
is
spoil. I
delicious.
don't want to spoil this fucker. Who
Trying
cares?
to pickle it so it lasts forever.
Exactly. So
Trying to
yeah. So that was like, so I had all these signs tell me don't do this, and I ignored them all.
Well, that's a great question when it comes in business, and I've always believed this in life, in everything. Is do you buy into follow your gut?
Absolutely, absolutely. I do. I mean, and it's just it is what it is. Like I said, I never try to push my beliefs or thoughts on anyone, but I am intuitive to a degree. I don't read. I don't like read your future and all that crap. Like I can't do that. I don't see the future, but I have these overwhelmingly gut feelings, like to the point where it makes me sick, and it has saved my life so many times and has pushed me in different directions. And I guess I knew that this was not a good idea, but the way I kept looking at it is I was really good friends, just going to invest in this business. I'm going to get my money back and I'm going to move on. And it just did not turn out that way. I mean, I lost a friendship. I mean, which, it's crazy. And the funniest part is how it all like ended is, and I'd never done this before. Now I do it constantly. So I come in the bar one night and he has this white sage and all this stuff to do a cleanse because we were having problems, and so he talks to me about, yeah, you cleanse, get rid of all this negativity. So he leaves. So I read how to do it, and I'm just like, oh my god, I'm a Catholic boy, man. I'm a
Right.
dairy farm Catholic boy. What the hell am I doing? And I'm like, well, this is Native American. I really believe the Native American beliefs and, being one with nature and all. So I said, all right. So I did this cleanse, and I shit you not, everything you would think that was like positive in my life, like the girl I was seeing, these people in my lives, the bar, all of a sudden, like overnight came crashing. They all just started leaving my life.
Oh shit!
And at the first, I'm going, oh my God, what's going on? But
I did
I
the
caught,
wrong fucking cleanse.
yeah,
Holy
exactly.
shit!
No, that's exactly what I thought. But I caught my partner stealing. Okay, I caught him stealing money out of the books. I caught all sorts of these things going on, and it was funny. Like probably 2.5, 3 months later, all these things are gone. This girl I was in love with proposed to twice and said no to me. All of a sudden, not in my life anymore. She found happiness. I met somebody like my partner. We don't even speak anymore. I wind up making more money at the job that I was at that I switched to, which was selling promotional products and branded apparel for a company. And I loved it. And I'm going, oh my God, all these things I thought were negative or were positive in my life turned out to be negatives in this cleansing. So I'm like, wow, you got me. So I totally changed my life, just by mentality, being grateful, expressing gratitude, all these things. And I noticed just like the change of energy, and things would just naturally start coming into my life. And that gut feeling we were just talking about,
Right.
if I listened to my gut feeling right now, I tell you what, I'd probably be
Get off this
engaged.
podcast.
No, I'd be engaged or married right now. But another transition in my life happened when I went through a real rough year, and which has got me to where I'm at today, which also got me to the point where I got the strength and the courage to try to go back in business for myself, to try to do these things again. It took me like 3 years to recover from that and to learn that, everyone talks about like trust in like a personal relationship, but a business relationship, when you have a partner and you lose that trust and then you try to be partners with somebody else, that's, I'll tell you what, that's harder than being in a relationship with trust.
Well, you bring that up as far as the business side to it, I don't know. Like, I love my best friend. He's the godfather of one of my children. I don't know if I could ever be in business with him because I fear exactly what you're talking
Yeah,
about. You were talking about the podcast and the other gentleman, and when Donnie comes on, I'm going to have Donnie and I talk about that. Um, One of the things that I wanted to do I need a permanent partner with this, and he gave me great advice, which was when you podcast, it's your podcast.
that's true.
It's your podcast. If you have a co-host, that's great, but it needs to be if that co-host disappears tomorrow, it's your podcast and you're running your podcast.
Your podcast, your business.
And that's what I was just thinking about, tying the two of them together is your business needs to be the same way is, you can have a partner. That's great to have a partner. Was speaking with a gentleman, well, I'll give you the name off air, who owns the number one copier printer sales company in the nation. And him and I were talking, and he built a very successful one out in Cincinnati. And he was telling me, he goes, and I sold my stock to my partner to go start another one. But then when he explained it, when I heard him say it, he goes, I own 40% of it. I sold my stock. There has to always be a leader.
Yes,
Somebody's got to be.
without a doubt. And
Now, how did you now you're in you're in a good business relationship right now. You own part of a company getting ready to launch. How do you how did you set those parameters now looking back and saying, hey, I've had this other other experiment, didn't work. I'm going to move forward in it. How did you set those lines to say either this is my wheelhouse, I'm running this, we're partners, but my say is the final? How do you make that decision in a small business? And I don't really believe any business is small because if it's paying my bills, that bitch ain't small to me.
I know that's true. That's true. It's all in the perception of how you're doing it, just like you said, paying the bill, and yeah. So, and that's right. Like no matter what the size of the business is your baby, you know. Um, but no, it's funny you say. So for me, so I was kind of on my own, and I met but I call him more my mentor. Uh, but that's what I realized by and I hate saying that because I don't want to steal anything from when Donnie's on the show, right?
Steal away from him because I plan on.
But
I look that whole podcast. We're gonna try to talk about podcasting, but that shit's gonna be just two Marines drinking and telling lies about each other.
well, I'm going to be honest with you and brutally honest. I don't even know if Donnie knows this. Um, but so I joined one of Johnny's mastermind groups, and the guys in the group are great. But before I got into even the mastermind group, Donnie, I don't know, for some sick reason, talks to me like offline. Like, you know what I mean? Like we talk. It's not like I'm just in one of his chapters and doing like
Right.
we have conversations, or we were having conversations on the weekends and stuff. And so before I was in this mastermind, I was in Donnie's personal mastermind, I think, group, and we would talk about like what Brian really needs to get to the level he wanted, and a lot of things that were stopping me with like most people fears, because you have mind limiting beliefs, whether you think you do or not, you do have them embedded in your mind. And I've always been big on you got to be brutally honest with yourself about where your shortcomings are. And I say most people really can't do that. As much as we want to say we can, very few, I'd say probably 20% can actually do that. And I realized I needed a mentor badly.
How tough
Somebody
was that? How tough was that to really say you need a mentor? 'Cause
um
I don't know if I could say like I know people guide me, I know people mentor me. I talked to Mike, you and I've had conversations about things,
mhm.
but I don't know if I could ever say to myself, I need to be mentored. You
I,
must teach me.
yeah, and you know, and I think what it came from is so a lot of people had always reached out to me for business consulting stuff, which I'm not a consultant, I'm not a coach, I don't do those things, but I always help people out. And when I went into it for myself, I had this, I failed, and I hate failure. And now I realize that you will always fail more than you succeed in life because you only need to succeed one time. And but like as I'd known Gina for 2 years, and just the way she carries herself, the way her
So awesome.
customers have a respect for her, And when she's in the room, she owns that room. And she truly does. I kept thinking to myself, Jesus, and here's a person who's seeing something in me and wants to partner with me in some way, shape, or form, doesn't know how yet, but knows they want to the point where we made an agreement. It took 2 years. We made an agreement, and I realized that what she was delivering to me was way outweigh in my mind of what I thought was delivering to her. But then I also realized that I knew my space and she owns her space. So owns hers, no mine. And I
Okay.
realized really, really quickly that there's two roles, right, in every business. And actually, Donnie and I just talked about this offline a few weeks ago. Um, there's a book called Rocket Fuel, and it talks about the visionary and the intricate. So basically, the person who has the vision of the company, where it wants to go, and then the person that has to make it happen. And I was the visionary on my side, and obviously she's a visionary on her side. And when I came over with her, the hardest thing for me to get the concept, she says, okay, so we agreed that I'd be the sales manager for the one business. And she says, I need you to manage me too. And I was kind of caught off guard by like, what do you mean? And she says, think about it, Brian. When we talk, we throw all these things all over the world. We need to have a plan to step by step by step. So I had to switch roles. I had to switch roles into the intricate and be more of the manager, do the day-to-day tasks, make sure that stuff, and switch from coming up with the ideas and the concepts to making her ideas and concept come to fruition. And the and it really just kind of clicked, in all honesty. But I knew very quickly that, or I felt very quickly that this was the right move, right time, and I was learning so much in such
Wow.
a short period of time that I knew that where my role needed to be. And that's, I mean, and to the point where, I say this: if somebody came in and I truly thought they were trying to take advantage or steal from the company, I'd probably beat the hell out of them. I mean, physically, because
How
that's
would beat the
how.
shit out of you?
Yeah, I mean, and that's how in such a short period of time, I feel I owe this person from just the lessons that I've learned, watching, learning, and someone who takes me and puts me in the middle of a deal my first week there in a business I've never been in, and brings
Wow.
me in. So that faith and that really made a big difference. That's why I say when I say I'm owner of one of our business, it's a very small percentage, and I'm very okay with that. I want to earn the right to buy back up more as we grow. So for me, I needed to find the right partner who had the vision, wanted to grow, and would invest in me and my ideas and concepts to get us there, and not kiss my ass. You know.
Well, that was gonna be my other question is now I know Gina.
Mhm.
Gina's a sweetheart, super professional, but your relationship wasn't built on a friendship at first. It was built on a business relationship. Do I understand that right?
Um,
That
when we,
developed into a friendship.
I mean, when we first met, we clicked as friends. I mean,
Right,
there's
you
definitely,
got along.
yeah, we definitely clicked as friends. I mean, like, but I felt immediately when I first met her that I could, like, when she was my mentor in the other networking group. I truly believed and took advantage of the fact that I thought I could call her with questions and she would give me the right answers. And
Gotcha.
she did. And well, at least they turned out to be right. You know what I mean? You never know at the time, I guess.
Right,
But
yeah, you don't know at the time.
I followed her advice, and she took me into a couple of places that she was working with to sell my products and services as a referral. And when someone has that faith in you, you tend to talk more, you tend to grow more, you build the return on relationship versus a return on investment mentality. And I mean, it did. I mean, I'm lucky, but I really feel I'm lucky. I mean, business always comes first, and to watch just the way, like, she'll every now and then will say, Brian, and this is why you don't burn a bridge by doing this, because I like she knows like I'm a hot hat. She knows I am, and she is too, but controlled and smart.
Control burn.
Where
She's a
yeah,
control burn.
yeah, and where I'm sitting there, like, I had this one guy. This is a quick funny story. So I had this guy, and imagine wanting to go work for a company. and sit there and you're trying to make a deal to come work for them, whatever, and then you make a comment to, well, yeah, well, you deal with the small fishes, I deal with the big fishes, and you say that to the prospective person you're trying to. I'm sitting there furious, like I literally wanted to like start go right into the old Brian mode, f you and read my resume back to you and all this crap and put you down. And I remember Gina just put her hand up like this and just like, no, no, okay, and moved on. And we got off the phone. I'm like, I can't believe you let someone talk. She's like, Brian, you will learn. She says, let them think that way. Let them do this type of stuff. Don't worry about it. You got because you never know when they're going to need you or you're going to need them. I shit you not. Probably 6 weeks later, they were doing a job and something went wrong with their equipment. It wasn't anything they did wrong personally. Like
Right.
one of their
Just
pieces of
it
equipment
happens.
failed, and when somebody washed the shirts, all the ink came off because the flasher didn't dry it right.
Oh,
So
gotcha.
they had a problem there. So they knew we bought this. We were in the process of buying this other business. They actually basically alerted us the place might be going on this guy, and we did all this. We fixed all the shirts for him, and Gina
There's your
didn't say a
fucking fish
word to
fry.
him. She
There's
just
your
took
fish
care.
fry, bitches. Fish
Yeah,
fry.
yeah, but she just took care of him. She
See,
took
that's
care of him, and that was a mental. Like I would have told him to go f himself.
right. See,
But
see,
why
you're
would
like
you
me.
do that?
See, I have that problem. Like I I have that horrible mentality where I'm like, "What'd you say to me?
Yeah,
I'm gonna duct tape your house clothes and set it on fire. Just
right.
I gotta go do it now." And people are like, "What'd you say?" I'm like, "I'm sorry, it's nothing personal. I just gotta go do this shit now. It just is what it is."
Yeah. I
Uh,
don't know if that's a military thing or not. You know what I
I
mean?
think it's our Ryan and Cliff, a great friend of mine, says, "Gina sounds amazing. Brian describes such a great mentoring relationship. You're lucky to have that kind of business relationship."
And Clifford, I truly believe that. I truly believe that, and you know, like I tell you, I don't believe in chance. I don't believe in coincidence. I don't believe in anything. I believe in fate, the universe, whatever you want to call it, puts you where you're supposed to be at that time. And there was a reason it took us 2 years, obviously, to figure this out. But and I can tell you this, it's funny is and I liked the place I worked before that. I mean, it's not.
Right.
I mean, I love the guys about it. But I mean, they're like brothers. You know what I mean? They're like younger brothers to me. I mean, I love the guys, but I did realize that for growth and everything, that I was better off going with it. And probably 2, 3 weeks on the job, I think I sent her a text saying, "Smartest move I ever made,"
That's awesome.
and I just knew it. I just knew it, and I believe that and I think it's funny because she gets excited about things, and I'll be like, yeah, yeah, promo is fun. It's a fun job, and I'm sitting there going, but I get excited like when I sell a print job too. You've been
Right.
doing that side 33 years or however many years. To me, it's new. So like when I sell anything, your business cards, I get excited like, oh my god, I sold something new today. You know,
Right.
so
So that's, for those of you that have never sold anything,
oh, greatest
I
job and
think
worst job in the same day.
I think everyone has maybe you sold something you thought you could sell, and then there's people that just know that's not for them. Brian and I are in the world of selling, um, in one way or another.
Oh, absolutely.
Whether I'm selling you on the idea of how amazing my podcast is, and you need to share it with all your friends at this moment. I don't know why.
Or your wife that this is 6 inches.
Yeah, it's good. That's what that is. Buy into it. I've got 2 rulers, stack them together. That um, you know, whatever it happens to be, and, as I mentioned my podcast again, make sure you've got it on your phone and you do all this. No, I'm kidding. But once you sell something to someone or you introduce something to someone who's indifferent to what you have to offer, and for those who don't know what indifference is, they are satisfied with their current situation. They see no need to change it. They see no purpose in making a change. And you sit down and you have a meaningful conversation and you find out that they have a need that you can satisfy that they didn't know. Again, that's together, it's 6. And satisfy that need. Um, Once you've done that, That's a drug. I'm
Oh, it
gonna tell you
absolutely.
right
Oh my
now,
god, it is.
there is nothing like it, and if you're like me, I don't know, I'm curious if you're this way, Brian. I love to see other people succeed, but it pisses me off because it wasn't me. I gotta work harder. I gotta
It's
fucking
funny.
work harder.
See, I just phrase it different. I tell you what, I am one of the greediest motherfuckers you'll ever meet.
Amen.
I want everything, but I'm not selfish.
Th th
I don't want it
I like it.
in spite of you. You
Right.
know what I mean? And that's how yeah. When you do well, I'm high fiving you, and I'm sitting there going, yeah, Sean, you knocked it out of the park. And then I'm sitting there going, and I walk away from you, and I go right back down. I'm like, all right, 5 more fucking calls, baby.
Yep,
Got
yep.
to beat his ass. You know
Fucking
what I mean?
bullshit.
Yeah, and it's and I you do like and and it's funny. So I used to sell Harleys, and in 5 years I went through 17 salespeople with me,
Oh, wow.
and I'm not joking when I say there's some part timers here and there that were just short time or whatever,
Right.
but I went through 17 other salespeople. I never sold any automobile. I went from selling advertising to selling Harley Davidsons,
Oh, wow.
and loved it. I'm a Harley guy, and one of the guys came up to me and says, "The problem with working with you is I can't fucking sell anything." I'm like, "What do you mean you can't sell anything? I rotate the floor with you. I do all that shit." They're like, "No, you just you. It's hard to sell against you. Everybody wants to work with you." And I'm like, "Really?" Because nobody wanted to work with me when I started.
That's it.
Nobody did, and it was hard. And then even the sales manager, who was like turned out to be like my bigger sister. You know what I mean? I freaking do anything for Deb. If she called me today, there's nothing I want to do to help her out. And she'd sit there going, "Yeah, Brian, great, you lost another one." And she'd always tell me, "Brian, I just hired this guy from a car salesman. He is gonna smoke you. He's a real." She would say all of it. I'm like, okay,
Best.
all right. And I knew it. And then now I can tell you, oh, she so played me. She so was playing me. I'd go back to, oh, she's gonna fucking outsell me, huh? I'd sit there, and next thing I know, how many bikes you sold this month? I sold 12. I'm like, yeah, I sold 32. And it could be I couldn't just beat them. I had to
Oh,
try
no.
to double.
So, I gotta tell you, probably my so I've said this many times on the show, and I will stand by this. The numbers don't lie. My father is the greatest salesman I've ever known, bar none. Here's a man who sold over $1 million in product working at Sears Brand Central. Sears used to send my father to like St. Thomas and the Virgin Islands and all those kind of places. My oldest son protects it with his life. My father's gold Hamilton watch
Oh
that
wow,
says Sears Brand Central in it.
nice.
So that'll tell you the level we're talking here.
Yeah.
The old man told me, and I used this the whole time I was on recruiting duty. I've used it in every sales I've ever got. Any of you out here who are thinking about sales, considering sales, I'm gonna crack the code for you right now. It's gonna be the simplest thing you've ever heard. And when it's done, you all need to send me $1. You can sell anything to anyone as long as they think they're getting a deal.
That's
If
right.
you think about anything you've ever bought in your life, I do not care what it is. I went to the grocery store the other day. They had pork loin on sale. Buy one, get one free. I didn't need pork loin, but why did I buy it, Brian?
Because it was a deal. You got something out of it.
I was a deal for me.
Yeah.
I could buy my truck. You could buy the same truck as I do. And if you spend $1,000 less than I do, when we're having our conversation, you're like, well, Murph, saved $1,000 over you. What do you think I'm going to say to you?
You're
It
gonna
was,
go find
it was the
it was
best
the
deal at
best
the
deal.
time. It
Yeah.
was the best deal at the time. It was the best deal I could get.
Yeah. 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 Nobody. I don't. I think you're right. I don't. If anybody really talks about not getting a good deal,
That's it. And now I gave you that best piece of advice that you could ever get. Any training you could ever get. That's the best deal you're ever going to get on that training. You owe me $1.
see now I would have said, but you got to believe in what you sell.
That's product knowledge.
Yes, that is product knowledge.
That's
It is
product
different.
knowledge.
It is
But
different. But to close the sale or to I hate the word close. We got to come up with a better term than
but
when
it is
we
closing
close.
it.
It is. It is. It's ending that stage and moving into the relationship
Well,
stage.
that's
Right. You got to have
scheduling
that.
next steps. Scheduling
Yeah.
next steps.
Yeah. But you're right. You have to show some type of value that they
Because
got something deal out of that.
I can love my product. I can think my product's the greatest product in the world. But if you don't think it's worth it, you don't think it's a good deal,
You didn't sell it.
you're not going to buy it.
Yeah, and then but then on me as a salesperson, I didn't sell it. That's true sales, is creating that
Oh,
value. Well, I hate saying it, that value
it is.
proposition, but that's what it is. So that
It's
they
a value
believe
proposition statement.
that you're that, and you have skin in the game with them. They want people don't want to be sold, right?
No,
Nobody wants to. They want to. They know they have to buy. They want to buy the right product and with making the right decision and feel good about the decision they made.
because
And
we're
that's what we're doing. We're full I can't
facilitating
even say it. There we go.
facilitating.
I can't
Well,
even talk about it. That's all we're really doing anymore. I don't think the I don't think the feature benefit works. Well, at least not in one of my industry. I'm sure there's places that feature benefit does
see,
work.
I
But
love feature, but I
if
was
you're doing
raised
like
in that.
transitional or
I was raised
transactional
in that.
sales, yeah,
I
I mean, I was too when I was doing the forklifts and construction equipment. Yeah, I mean, you do that. There's definitely feature benefit on it, without a doubt.
and it's funny is I I train sales now. I s- and I don't even consider what I do so much as sales with staffing, as much as you know we provide a lot of, and I think we provide value conversations because, and this is something for folks. Don't be afraid to talk to a salesperson. I'm going to tell you that right now. We all think that for some godforsaken reason, because we've watched too many movies, that every salesperson is wearing a plaid seersucker suit. And before you talk to them, they were taking a nip out of the bottle in their upper right hand desk drawer, or three of them were just doing bumps of coke off the back of a toilet in the bathroom. Like this is not what your salespeople were doing. I promise
Hopefully not. Hopefully
you did not.
not.
Now, if your salesperson comes out talking about what can I what can I do?
Yeah.
What can I get for you there? Then it's a different topic. But the reality of it is your salesperson is the same as your plumber. You go see your plumber because your plumber knows plumbing. I could do it myself, but after I break it, the first words out of my plumber's mouth, because my cousin is a plumber, is when I call him up and I'm go, hey, I'm about to do this, and his first words out of his mouth is, before you break it, go call a plumber.
Right.
Same thing when you're going to buy something, folks. It's okay. And look, just like there's good plumbers and there's bad plumbers, there's good salespeople and there's bad salespeople. A good salesperson will change your life when it comes to and you'll only buy from that person.
That's true. Absolutely.
And that's something that we work on. And I'll plug SCN here again because I don't want to hear Donnie's bullshit. Is in SCN we build relationships and we're working with each other. Success Champions Network. That's not what this show is about. It's really I want to talk about building a business, but the other side of this that we want to talk about is you got a new podcast, and I know we really didn't even get into it yet.
Oh.
We've kind of skipped over this Tattooed in Business
Yes.
podcast.
Yeah.
So what is this? Obviously the name says a lot. You've got sleeves,
I
but
do. I do.
not very 90s tribal sleeves. He also has glow sticks in his back pocket
No, I don't.
and Jenko jeans. So it's all
No,
good.
no.
Don't worry about
No,
it.
I told you I'm a dairy farmer growing up.
He's like, um, so, but let's talk about that for a second here. What is the new show about?
So, I try to, you try to think about things that you can do to help other people. And this started back, like I alluded to earlier. So a few years back, I had a real rough year, and I I had 8 people die on me in 10 months. And one of the people um, that died on me, uh, we started this thing doing these Facebook lives because we didn't know like how to podcast and stuff.
Right.
When I lost my other business, and he was always, I always tell John I picked you because I knew you wouldn't say no. But I wanted to talk about what things happen when you go into business for yourself, and things that I ran into that I was successful at, things that I failed at. And our whole goal was we say if we could just help one person not fall in the same pitfalls we had and be successful, then this is worth it. And I went through this bad period and all the, and the one that really my uncle was like my brother. When he passed away, that was like the final. That was like the sixth person, and I went to this really dark place. And I'm talking with John, and it's just before 4th of July, and he's like, Brian, we got to start doing this again. Let's do this. You moved into this podcasting thing? And I'm like, yeah, and I've been looking at it. And he says, Brian, I need you to come back and do this with me. This is what we're meant to do. We're meant to help people in business. And I said, right, but we're not freaking coaches, man. Let's not mislead anyone. He goes, let's just talk about he's one of the best marketers I ever met. And I shit you not, he died on July 4th, massive heart attack. And I went right back into this dark place again. And then I met Donnie. I went Donnie about, I guess, 2 years later, or a year and a half later, and we were talking just sidebar shit one day, and he says, why aren't you doing this? What's stopping you? And then I told him. And he says, you've never shared that with me. You need to tell your story. So I don't want to tell my story. I've already gone through this crap. I've told my story. I've told people I don't want to keep reliving it. And he says, but this was what you were trying to do. So I took some break for a while. So came up with this concept. And I like Googled, like, it doesn't matter. Like, you got to be able to figure out, like, right, how to be found. So I'm like, tattooed business. They're like two of the most Googled, searches out there for words. So I'm like, well, like I said, like tattooed. So when you get tattooed, it's something that's permanent, right?
Okay.
It's marked you. It's permanent. So when I'm talking about tattooed in business, these are the things, the lessons I've learned, everything I've learned that's tattooed me in life to make me think, believe, and act the way I do. And the whole tribal thing that I do is because, like, I truly believe, like, I have tribal because that's me. That represents me and my tribe and my beliefs and my witness, just my witness to life and what I've gone through. And I've gone through hell, but I didn't have a hard life in my eyes. You know what I mean? And I've had all these things happen, and I've learned all these lessons, and I get like really passionate. I love being a salesman, and I can't stand people that don't respect the profession. So I like this tattooed in business. It's me. It's real. It's reality. But what I talk about is, I'd say it's life. It's life and business through the eyes of a tattooed male, a Gen X male that's been in sales for 20 years, and what I've seen, done, and experienced in my life. And that's how I present the show. And I talk a lot about business, things I've run into, things I've learned going along, things I've witnessed, like with this new generation of these millennial salespeople, and like this, I'm just going to network and nothing else. I'm like,
that's very different there too. Like
it is.
Well,
like your network will go dry at some point. You gotta give too. You can't just take.
Right. I'm just going to network. I'm just going to talk to everyone.
Yeah.
Right. That's fine. But are you going to tell them what your product is? No, they know what I do.
Right.
They know what I do. Right. Yeah. No, they know what you do, but sometimes you have to communicate with them what you do. No. You don't know what you're talking about. You're full of shit.
Yeah. And I'm not saying they're all like that, but
no, but I know what you mean. It's a very different approach to it. It's very passive sales.
Yes.
Well, they'll click on that.
Yeah.
And it's like, nobody's clicking on your shit.
Right. It's like a lot of the newer salespeople don't know how to ask for the sale.
Right. The close is always the toughest.
Yeah, and it is. It absolutely that. And I think, like, I love it when Donnie talks about everyone's going, oh, what's the right questions to ask? Well, how are you going to ask someone who's not in your industry? Like, what do you expect to give you here's this magic book that only a handful of us know about. And it's like, there is you know what the magic to being successful in sales? Work your ass off.
Yes.
Give a shit about your customer.
Mm-hmm.
Truly give a shit about them. Find out something about them.
Personal.
Take a vested interest in what they do, or the buyer themselves.
Yes.
Don't be fake, but take a vested interest in them.
Well, have something to communicate with them about that isn't the sale.
Yes. Absolutely. Find a common podcast.
Right. I have conversations with people all day long, and I do my best to not talk about what needs to be talked about until it has to be.
Yeah.
We had an old Master Guns in the Marine Corps. That's a E9 in the Marine Corps, Master Guns. And I'll never forget this story. This is the wildest shit. This tells you how good rapport really is important to you. And folks, take the business side out of this for a minute. as Brian and I are talking, you can close on things in life also.
Oh, absolutely.
It is difficult to finish conversations in life. It is difficult to be involved in conversations in life. So in all this, one of the other things we're telling you is take a moment in your day-to-day conversations, and if you can learn how to end a conversation, even like if you can make a joke at it. One of my favorite is Pee Wee Herman in his last movie, and this is the funniest thing is, okay, I'm gonna let me go now.
Right? Would never picture the Pee Wee guy.
Right, but how great of a close is that? Thank you, I appreciate it. I'm gonna let me go now, and then walk away. You'll leave people wondering, and then they'll go, "That's some funny shit." But
Yeah.
we had a master guns. This really happened. Spent 2 hours talking to an applicant about hunting. 2 hours talking about hunting. Never talked about joining the Marine Corps. 2 hours talking about hunting. Towards the end of the conversation, the guy finally goes, "Hey, did you want to be a Marine?" And he goes, "Yeah." "All right, we'll do your paperwork. You can join the Marine Corps." Fucking guy never pulled out tags, never, hey, tell me about pride of belonging means to you. What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? Why is that so important to you? Never did none of that shit. He just talked about hunting because rapport is that valuable. It really is that valuable.
Yeah.
And it also gets into your day-to-day life. If you don't like the job you have, ask yourself what your rapport with your employees, with your fellow employees are, and with your employer. If you don't like the relationship you're in, what is the rapport you have with the person you're in a relationship with? If you say to yourself, we have nothing in common and we can't talk, I think your rapport sucks ass. It's time to get out.
Yeah.
And that's what Brian and I are talking about. And Brian, so when's the first episode?
I launched the first episode. I think it's 6 or 7 now I've launched.
Okay, so we're fairly deep into it then.
I feel like I'm not like 100 shows in like you guys are. I'm like, I'm just getting my feet. Yeah, I'm just getting my feet wet with this one. So I just started launching, and I'm playing with systems. Like I said, like I'm playing with it. So I'm on. I followed your advice and I did the Podbean, and I linked up with Podbean. I also so I'm on XM as well, or excuse me, not XM, iHeart. Geez, I don't even remember now the one.
Well, that's the nice thing about Podbean. For those of you that are out there thinking about a podcast, Podbean doesn't pay me anything. I wish they would. Podbean, pay a motherfucker. But Podbean's great because if you go into their one link section, you can connect to every platform super easy.
Yeah.
They even give you the RSS link, like copy this and then stick that in there.
Right, for YouTube, everything. So that's the other thing. Set up a YouTube channel. I set up a YouTube channel.
You set up an Instagram too, Brian.
Yes, it is on the list. It's on the list. I have my GY6 Promotions was the first Instagram I ever launched, and now I have my own Instagram for my name. So yes, the Tattooed in Business has to come next.
Yeah, as I look around the mic trying to get him to understand, every time I went to go tag him, I'm like, yeah, I'm tagging GY6 Promotions, Brain Merrell, and then Tattooed in Business. Like it was like a friggin' license, like a giant license plate that I had to type out every time. Like, I'll find this guy sooner.
Yeah, no, yeah. So I had the Facebook page right now, and that's it.
And the other thing with your podcast, folks, no one wants you to be successful. Guess what? No one does. No one wants to see you successful because you know why? Because they're not successful. They want to listen to you. Mm-hmm. They want to hear you. They don't really want you as successful because they're not successful. Now, if they're successful, they want you to be successful also because they're already successful. So they're okay if you come along.
It's funny. I had a similar conversation. So one of the things that Donnie talked about that really nailed me early on.
Whoa, Donnie nailed you?
I know that came out so fucking
wow.
wrong, man. That came out so wrong.
Where are you right now? I got to send him a message right now. So you nailed Donnie, huh?
Just say I didn't have a hard time sitting down afterwards.
Donnie nailed you. It was a hard time.
But so he talks about the circles of friendships, and how sometimes you find yourself as an entrepreneur and all that. maybe not fitting in, and you're kind of off the side doing your own thing. And it was so freaking true. When I heard that, I was going through that at the exact same time. But one of the things that I really kind of took out of that, and from talking with other people, is when you're having a hard time and things aren't going like they would say, "Oh, that's who's your true friends are the ones that are there for you." That's bullshit. It's easy to be there for somebody when they're down and out and not having a good time and be supportive for them. What's hard is, are you happy for them when things are going good? Truly
Amen.
happy for them, not resentful, not jealous, not. I mean, when I told who I thought was my best fucking friend in the world here, just closed down a place. We're going to buy this business. I'm going to be partner, a very small percent, but I'm still going to be partner in it. His reaction was he turned and looked at me, went back down, grabbed his drink, took a drink, and said, "Oh." And I was like, "Okay, I get you're going through a rough time right now, but like that's it." And I'm sitting there going, "Wow." And then here, like talking shit about me afterwards. I'm sitting there going, "How you're bragging, you're doing that." No, I'm not, man. I'm fuck. I
Right.
want you
You're
to
not
be.
happy for me.
Uh,
Thanks.
yeah,
Appreciate
I want you to be along with me. Like you know what I mean. I was like, wow, what an eye opener. So yeah, so the people who truly care about you and are happy for your success, they're the harder ones to find.
it. Yeah, they're there for the whole ride.
Yeah, haters are everywhere. They comment negatively on your Facebook post, your
And I
Instagram
love it.
post, all that stuff, but they do give you freaking viewers.
Howard Stern said it the best. Like I still
Yeah,
don't forget that from Private Parts. They were like, the people who are your fans and say they love you listen for like 10 minutes. The
yeah,
people who can't stand you and hate you listen for 4 hours.
right. Yeah, well, they did. It was one of the true statistics that
Right.
came out of his show. The people that bitched about him most listen longer. It's like, of course they do, because they're looking for a reason to bitch about you.
Right. You wanna be upset. So keep that in mind, folks. When you're out there and you're going for your business and you're going to be successful and you're listening to Brian and he's telling you how you're gonna pick yourself up by your bootstraps and how you're gonna move through these things in his Tattooed in Business show. What days can I get it? Can I watch it live anywhere or is it just the downloads?
Right now, I'm just doing downloads, and I usually download on a Sunday night, so that way it's ready there Monday, and I put what
Ready
I
for
post
your
on.
Monday drive, your Monday drive motivation.
Yeah, true.
You
Yeah,
listen to Brian. He'll get you going for the week, show you how it's gonna happen. But remember those things that, you know, look around when you're at your peak, who's still with you? When you're at your lowest, is that the same person that's with you at your peak?
yeah.
Uh, oh God, Nathan, you're a pain in the dick.
I was gonna say it had to be something about peak.
Yep. I can give you a list on Sean Murphy. Look, this is your I gotta figure out who I sidebar. Nathan, I gotta figure out who the hell I played this week in fantasy football. I lost by like less than a point and a half
How is that possible?
because Harris, the running back from New England, who was having a mind-blowing game in like late in the third quarter, they pulled him for a leg injury.
Oh Jesus!
And he was killing it for me. Like I started off the game with like a 57% chance that I was gonna win, and then they pulled him, and I was like, so I mean, you're nailing it, Brian. I love everything about this. This is the kind of stuff so that Brian and I, this is what guys like him and I live to talk about is, and we don't just talk business. So you understand, folks. There's that old saying, those who can do, those who can't teach. Find yourself somebody who's done both.
Find a mentor. Find
A
a
true
mentor.
mentor, because your mentor is somebody who's doing it at the time.
Yes.
I have some people that, and I joke around about the mentor thing because it is, I think I've had a tough time in my life asking for help because I never want to be, and I think it's the Marine mentality. I don't know if you had the same mentality being in the Army because you guys are
It's
always asking.
tough.
I mean, the guys in the Army are always asking for help. Please, Marine, come save me. Please,
Well,
Marine,
I
please
tell
save me.
everyone I was a combat medic. The Marines were my best customer.
Oh God, look, there's no doubt in my mind. There's no doubt in my mind. Uh, Look at that. We can play catch with this shit. Do you know what you're playing catch with? Not a clue. Not a clue, but we'll do it. Um, but I think that, as a service member, it's always been a tough one for me because people are like, "Well, you should know how to do that."
Yeah, learn to do it yourself. Figure it
Yeah,
out.
you could do that. You're a Marine, you can do that. And I'm like, Yeah, but I have never done business taxes. I don't know
Right,
anything I don't know anything about business taxes. I don't know anything about you know, I just started an LLC. I don't know what I can and can't claim. So make sure you have a good mentor, good people around you. Don't be a cheap ass.
right. That is, and like I say it like I said, we're not trying to like push on SEM, but our group is like a family.
Yes.
And Mike Lanuto, he talked about tax diversification. Who the hell even thinks about that? And I'm like, after listening to him talk about it, going, holy shit, you're right. Why would I pay taxes on the stuff when I retire when taxes are going to be cheaper today? You got to change this stuff up. I mean, I have no problem. I reached out to you. Hey, Sean, I'm doing this podcast. I'm struggling. Where do I start? Where should I go? And you walked me through it. Like, you don't have to do these things, but our groups, and I'm talking, this is just our local chapter, which
Yep.
is
Now
our
you're
local
just into
chapter is
us
pretty
talking.
tight.
Now you're just into us talking, folks. So if you're still sticking with us, you kind of
Right?
get some behind the scenes shit right now, uh, of just how it is. But you know what? This is what it's about.
Yeah.
Um,
It's about
find
working with each other and
That's
figuring
it.
out, yeah. I mean, so it's like, so technically, you kind of mentored me get started in the right direction. You know what I mean? Like I was telling you about S.A. Grant. I feel so bad I haven't introduced you to S.A. Grant. Just assumed you guys would know each other, because yeah, all podcasters know each other. Just so in case anyone doesn't know. So, but no, like there's a lot of resources inside our networking group, and I have definitely, um, I don't know if profit is the right word for it, but
But you tapped into it and you benefit from it.
yeah, I've definitely had a lot of benefit from it, and I hope I'm helping other people out because it's the right thing to do.
And I'll tell you, folks. Look, I like what we do, and I'm definitely going to be uh on here, and I want you to check out Tattooed in Business. I think you need to check it out. Let it be your Monday motivation on your way to work. Finding your new ink.
That's right.
And it could be the ink.
That's good.
Look,
I might just steal that shit from you.
uh, I got a better one for you. Tattooed in Business, the ink for your soul. Um,
Ooh, ooh.
I'm good at this shit. That's why I do what I do. Um, but find what's important to you and check it out. And I'll tell you right now, if you don't like, I would always recommend SEN because I'm in SEN and that's what I like. It's what works for me. Guess
Right.
what? You might be what's the other one, BNI or something like that, or
Yeah.
and it
Yep.
might work for you. I'm going to tell you when Christine Smith's on, you reach out to Ripple Effect, and that one may work for you because she is a ninja, bro.
She is. I gotta tell you that if you
Ninja.
haven't had a conversation with her, I mean, damn, she's good.
Uh, hey, 22. Brian's not a tattoo artist.
No,
He just has tattoos. My daughter is the tattoo artist.
yeah,
Um, but I
you
will
would
show him.
you would not want me drawing on
Yeah,
your
you don't want him
tattoo.
drawing on you. You don't want him to do that. And thank you, Nathan. I appreciate you, brother, man. Nathan's a good buddy of mine. He's a great networker. He needs to be in a network. He's in Maryland. He needs to be in a network.
But that's the
He doesn't do
badasses, man.
he just know Brian. See you. I'll have to connect you with Nathan when you're looking for guests because Nathan's the kind of guy who just for some reason, and he's the kind of guy
He,
got to sneak up on a glass of water. He's so ugly.
he's a Ravens fan. I see. I
Well,
mean,
look at that. I mean, come on.
damn.
I
My
mean,
future son-in-law, he's a freaking Ravens fan too. That's
that's
why I hate
good.
him.
Well, that's good. He's a great kid. Bring him on the show. I mean, Nathan's got to sneak up on a glass of water. I mean, for some reason, everyone loves him. He's a lovable guy. He does that thing.
I
We're,
tell you
we're
what, I'm an acquired taste.
That's it. I think that that's something to do with all of us in the services. We are
Yeah,
acquired taste.
we are.
You either, and that's something, and I always ask this question. I'm going to ask Donnie this question. I'm going to ask Vinny this question when he's on. And I was going to put a bow on this thing, and close the shop up. But I really think this is an important question for all prior service members. Did you face challenges coming out of the service because people didn't and I've got someday I'll come up with the right way to ask this, but I like this way, that people didn't respect your experience in the service.
Yes, without a doubt.
Now, how did you experience it?
Um, so when I came out, so I was a reservist. So I was active duty, switched to reserves really fast. Um, so in the early '90s, mid '90s, everything was college degree, college degree, college degree, and that's all anyone gave a shit about. And I tell everyone, so I was a combat medic who I could do minor surgery on you to coming back into New York State, and I can't even give you CPR.
Insane.
And it was just like, so the having the respect that you already have knowledge and the tools to do these things versus, well, you better have a degree or better this. And I still have people look at me today, like Donnie and I talked about it once, is we never talk about in a sales meeting, we never introduce ourselves as veterans anymore, because reality is no one really gives a shit. And I hate the whole hero thing being thrown around. So I tell everyone, I didn't join the military to be a hero. I joined because I love my fucking country and I believe in our freedoms. Whether you agree with my belief or not is irrelevant. I support the office, not the man in the office at all points.
Well, I heard one yesterday, and I should have brought this up earlier. Was the 80th anniversary of D-Day.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
My father, for as long as I can remember, would ask me on December 7th if I knew what day it was. Pearl Harbor Day, not D-Day, excuse me. Pearl Harbor Day. And my father would always ask me, do you know what day it is? Until I finally reached a point in my age where I was like, yes, it's Pearl Harbor Day, Dad. I know it's December 7th. But I was listening to a veteran talk, and I can't tell you how many times I've been told, thank you for your service. And we
Yeah.
do appreciate it, folks. Thank you, everybody who says it. But it's hard for us to have a good response other than thank you. And then
Yeah, I don't know what else to say.
I heard a veteran on who had been interviewed, and he said, when people tell me thank you for your service, he tells them, well, you were worth being served. You were worth providing the service for.
That's good.
And I was like, that's like badass. Like
Yeah,
that's
that
like
is.
some straight rock and roll shit when somebody says, thank you for your service. Well, you were worth providing service for. Like, that's awesome. And I understand and the reason I bring this up, and I wanted to hear Brian's and there's another one, C-22s. I think you're in the air. I can't remember C-22 Air Force, I believe. Thank you for your support. That's another
That's a
great
good one.
response.
Yeah, it is.
It's my experience, and I'm curious if you obviously dealt with the same thing. Was I spent 20 years, and I was I did more HR, recruiting, staffing, operations, training than I knew what to do with. Trained by professional sales training companies, and then you would talk to these companies and you'd be like, well, this is what I do. This is the kind of money I need. And they would say, thank you for your service, but you didn't do it here.
Yeah. Yep.
Fuck's that mean?
Yeah.
And I would get so mad. I would get so, and I have my degree. Active
Yeah.
duty.
Yeah. So I've been fortunate. I've had a couple. I had a couple guys take a chance on me early on in sales, but sales is totally different.
It
Well,
is.
I should have said it because I can't get into pharmaceutical sales or medical device sales.
But you could
And
get into pharmaceutical. You could get into pharmaceutical.
now you have to have a degree in pharmaceuticals.
Oh, do you? Now, see, I didn't know
Now
that.
they have their own degree because it's
Oh,
become
God, they're
so.
such communists. Every single
Yeah,
one.
and
Like, I was
it's
just talking to
tough.
somebody about this pharmaceutical sales thing. Talk about a racket.
Oh my god.
Let me
I wish
walk
I
you
wish I was the Viagra rep when it first came out. I mean, come
like,
on.
let me walk I actually a Marine that I put in, his mother dated the person. God, what the hell was the name of that drug? I can't think of the name of the drug now because it in Hatfield, Pennsylvania, or North Wales.
Not Cialis.
No, North Wales, Pennsylvania. Merck, the drug company Merck,
Mhm.
basically has their own zip code. It's so big of a campus. I met a gentleman who was a truck driver. God, we're so off the fucking rails now, folks. I met a gentleman who was a truck driver years ago. back in 01, 02. He was a truck driver, and they would pay him $400 a day to sleep in his truck just to be ready in case they had a full trailer of drugs to drive it somewhere.
Oh wow.
So he would have days where he would just sleep in the truck all night long and then go home and make $400 for the day.
Nice.
But this woman, and she was a sweetheart, but she dated the guy who created the advertising campaign for one of these big Merc drugs. And it's funny because now it's actually one of the ones that they got sued over. I don't remember which one it was, but because of this advertising campaign he came up with, my man was paid.
Oh, I'm sure.
Paid. But yeah, so but this is something that we experience. So if you're dealing with a prior service member and you're talking to them, understand, folks, that they have experience. We just don't have it. We have practical. We did the job. Like Mike said, Mike was a combat medic. He learned how to do things. Did you do the sheep? Did they have? Well, you probably did a sheep. You were in the Army, but that's
it's a go. You're talking about the Super B training.
Did you do that?
I did.
No.
Yeah,
I'm not
I qualified to be going to the Super B class.
Listen to me, folks. I'm not explaining that shit. You can go look it up on your own, and you're not. PETA's not coming for me. People for the eating of tasty animals.
Yeah. It's one of those the not talked about things. Yeah.
Have you ever seen the video for the sapper round?
I have not.
We'll talk about that afterwards. Somebody had rabbit. Somebody had rabbit. That was another one of those service things. What was it like the first time you went through the chow hall line and you saw they had rabbit in the chow hall?
We didn't. We didn't have. We didn't have
rabbit. Chow halls always had rabbit.
Dude, I was a combat medic. I shit you not. So when I was told I was going to Fort Sam, I was like, make sure you take your golf bags. I was like, really? It's that laid back? And I was in the wrong platoon, so I got totally fucked over because it was not like that. But when you go through the chow line, we ate great. I'm not joking when I say every Thursday was steak and shrimp.
Oh, you guys are.
It's a medical base. These doctors want to eat. You know what I mean? It's like, oh my God, we ate great. I gained 20 pounds in basic training.
Bro.
It was mostly muscle, but I gained.
Oh yeah, I told you, ladies. Those pictures were sent personally to me. He was like, "Check out my back."
Yeah, yeah. Now my back has a zipper on it, and my stomach has scars from the tube shoved into my liver.
Oh, great. Well, all right, we're gonna get ready to put a bow on this thing, there, brother. Pull the lights down at the bar, clean it up, and everything, and get ready to go.
Last call, baby.
Last call here at the bar, folks. I don't know why I couldn't remember last call. So we're getting ready to make it all happen. So obviously we have now GY6 is done, correct?
Well, GY6 is going to be relaunched as a merchandise store.
So straight online merchandise.
Yeah. So look forward to 2022.
So 2022. So in a couple of weeks here. Be on the lookout for GY6. For those of you that don't know what GY6 is, it's got your six, got your back. That's a military term. So make sure you're taking a look at that. We have your current. If somebody wanted to look for promotional items, wanted business cards, wanted any of those things, where are they going to find you at, Brian?
Right now, the best place is Curcio Printing. So Brian at CurcioPrinting.com.
Spell Curcio because I named
Yeah. CURCIO.
CURCIO. Curcio Printing. Is that CurcioPrinting.com?
Yes. Yeah.
So CURCIO.com. And that's Brian, BRIAN, not with a Y, BRIAN, and not Brain, BRAIN. It's BRIAN at Curcio, CURCIO Printing. So make sure you reach out to him if you need any printing needs, any promotional items, anything you're looking for there. I may have to actually talk to you about something afterwards. Whole separate thing. Got to get numbers from you. Check out Brian there every Monday. So are you recording another one this Sunday?
I will be. Usually Saturday, Sunday night I record, do very minor editing. I like to keep it raw and real.
All right. So this Monday, so we're all going to get done here. We're all going to go on to Podbean. How about Apple?
I did get set up with Apple. I am set up on Apple as well.
So if you got Apple, you got Podbean, Stitcher, Spotify. What are we doing here?
Spotify I'm on Pandora, and I'm on iHeart.
So make sure any one of those platforms you go in and you check it out and you look up Tattooed in Business. Our goal right here on the show, folks, is we want to make sure that Brian is doing at least, by the time this is done, he should be doing at least 20 downloads every episode.
That'd be great.
And if he's doing 20 downloads every episode and I'm not, you fuckers need to fix yourself. That's some bullshit right there. Let's talk about that for a minute, fans, my fans, because I'm on all those same exact platforms, the Above the Bar podcast, when you see this beautiful mug and that logo. So make sure you're checking that out. Anything else? You got your YouTube also, you said?
Yeah, YouTube is Tattooed in Business as well.
So,
and actually, I still had the Beer Drop Club one up there.
And the Beer Drop Club. So check out the Beer Drop Club. We'll have to talk about. That's actually how this all started, folks. We were going to talk about Beer Drop, and then Tattooed in Business came up. And then we just were a bunch of fucking foolish prior service guys that just talk about shit that we want to.
Right, which is why we started talking about beer first.
That's it. Because guess what? It's the Above the Bar podcast. It's mine. I do what I want. I do what I want. So
that was pretty good.
So again, folks, check out everything Brian's got. If you need promotional items, Curcio Printing. If you're interested in networking, reach out to Brian. Reach out to me. We'll tell you about the networking stuff we do. It's a phenomenal deal. My man Tim, I'm your fan, brother. Chillax. Sean, you have been my inspiration as well. Thank you for another good show. Thank you, brother, man. Tim has been my partner for a long time. We've been road dogs in this podcast, and he's another one. If you're looking, if you're looking for somebody, and I'm going to promote Tim for a minute here. If you've got a corporate event that you're looking to do, and you need somebody for like icebreaker, team building event, come talk to Tim. He does like poker, and he does like all kinds of different games. He's got all corporate event type stuff. He is phenomenal. He's local to the New York area, but he's actually got an online setup also. So reach out to Tim Sokol, Sokol, Tim Sokol. He's on all your major websites like OnlyFans. You can find him there. Trust me, it's scary, but you can find him there. So reach out to him. But Brian, I appreciate you, brother. Well, I guess I probably should promote myself before I promote you one more time.
I would think so.
As always, folks, I hope you're loving this. I hope you're enjoying this. Go to all your major platforms, type in the Above the Bar podcast, look for that picture with my face on it, wearing my favorite fedora, and go ahead and hit that subscribe button. The more people subscribe, the more you like it. Make sure you take your neighbor's phone. Take the person on the bus's phone and person on the train's phone. Take their phone out of their hand and just go ahead and, while they're trying to fight you off, and go ahead and put my stuff on there, and then they can listen to it also. It's got to happen somehow. They won't even realize it's there. Maybe next week I'll teach you guys how to Murph somebody's phone. That's a whole nother story. Our Facebook, The Above the Bar Podcast, Twitter, @Above the Bar 4, Instagram, The Above the Bar Podcast. Our email is theabovethebarpodcast@gmail.com. Our Twitch is The Above the Bar Podcast. We're on everything and everywhere. If you've got a cause and a sticker, make sure you reach out to me and let me know sticker and a cause. Wait a sec. Can you please post some of Brian's links as well? I'll have Brian email them to me, and I'll put them. Brian's stuff, links to it will be actually in the show. I'll have Brian send those over to me. My pen is stuck somewhere that I can't get it. Tim, I don't know if I can get into that.
Yeah, that's too much information on that.
That's way too much. And as we always do here on the show, brother, one of the more important things to me, and do not disappear after this. I don't know why I always tell everyone, even though the bar is going to close, don't disappear on me.
Trust me, I know they hang around.
hang around after the bar's closed. The guest always gets the last word. So what is the last word for us, Brian?
Gratitude. Make sure you're expressing gratitude in life.
All righty, folks. Be sure to push your stool in.
This has been an Earplug Podcast presentation. Found on earplugpodcast.com, iTunes, SoundCloud, and wherever your favorite podcasts are found.